Hey everybody, this is Dark Guards, and we're back with another video here. So I want to do some more work on the tank game. So the last few videos, I don't know how much of them we're going to upload. There's going to be a couple we're going to pick and upload of the actual game development process, whatever we're working on. Anyways, for this one, I don't want to actually focus on the actual levels themselves. Although we do actually have some more work on levels. It's actually the start of level 4. I don't know exactly where it's heading for because Grogger decided he was going to flip the level horizontally and vertically from the actual design and actually work on it, but it's pretty closest to what's going on. Effectively, what this level is going to be is you're going to start here, there's going to be a hidden area here, you're going to go up here, there's going to be buildings, wreckage, hidden stuff, and you're going to work your way up here, and then you're going to just have a boss fight back here. Pretty straightforward level. It's going to probably not actually take that long to do, and I think we're going to want to flush it out and actually get stuff going. But that's actually not what this video is about. What this video is actually going to be about is trying to figure out exactly how we're going to go about some of the mechanics. So we do talk about this occasionally in the levels, and when I actually do bother to stream, which I don't do often, occasionally you'll hear me talk about this with Grogger while we're doing something else, and we'll go back and forth about like what we're planning or what we're doing and various other things. But we still have a lot of details that we are missing that need to be fleshed out. I was thinking about a few of these before we started, or at least I started recording, and I wanted to cover a few of these and get these recorded on video, so one, I don't forget them, two, you guys actually are filling in on detail. Now, for the first part, we actually have to figure out what we're doing for our tutorial type training system. We don't want something boring, and we want it to kind of cover possibilities. So the training missions are going to duplicate as kind of a test bed. I'm going to use them to actually test the mechanics and what we're actually going to be doing with this. So it's not going to be this you go through step A, B, C, and D, and then you find out later in the game that it's missing E, F, G, whatever, a whole bunch of other steps that are not going to be there. So like every mechanic we have in the game, I want to kind of get into the tutorial set. Now you won't be required to go through the tutorial, and it won't be one of those things where you're like forced to go through everything. So you'll have this kind of, what I want to do is a Tron style virtual reality type of scheme going on, where you'll have your tank, which will look exactly like the tank you actually have, but then the whole entire level will have this almost holographic feel to it, where it's not quite real, and it's intentionally going to be made that way. And then on top of this, I kind of want to give the tutorial training level, I don't want to say neutral feel, but kind of like a laboratory test feel to it. And one of the things I want to actually do is kind of mimic how Halo 1 did its, I wouldn't say tutorial. I'm trying to think of like the best way to describe this, and if my mouse wants to behave. The only problem with like having actual mouse software is that it's a little difficult to actually control it. Let's see if I can find a video real quick. I'm gonna go up here and Halo 1 cursor alignment, I think, is what I want to search. I think cryopod scene might be better to look up. So it's going to be really hard to actually find a video for this, but what you effectively had is in the earlier part of Halo 1, and I kind of remember this because I've replayed Halo 1 more times than I would like to admit through, but it didn't just have an opening scene to it. There was actually a spot where they go over some diagnostics and stuff, and they do this in the second Halo game too. So let's actually see if we can find one. Halo 2 I can't spell diagnostics. This is actually quite interesting. Google, see if you can help me. There we go. Halo 2 diagnostics level. See if that gets it somewhere. It's going to be pretty much like the first opening level. And this is one of the things I almost wish I had a CD on hand and could plug in and show this. But you had this system where you had basically you had this thing you would kind of stand in, and you had to line up your cursor with certain things, and it had things you could do, stuff like that. And I kind of, what I'm more thinking about, and this is the thing I wish I could find a video for, I wish I had prepared a little bit for this, is it wasn't just the scene, it was kind of the tone of voice and atmosphere that went with it. So you had this technician, which sounded like an actual technician, sounded like a guy that was just going through the paces and doing various things. He didn't sound like he was starstruck by you being the main character. He just sounded like he was doing his job, and I kind of want to mirror that same thing. So what you would have is the player would come in, and the technician wouldn't treat the player like a rookie, wouldn't treat the player like a spec ops person, because after all, the character is going to be probably a mercenary or a recruit or something, so he'd actually be on the treated like a newbie side normally. But this technician's not going to care about that, so we're going to have a technician probably do the... We probably won't actually have voice lines. I really wish we could do voice lines, but we're probably not going to get to that point. But we'll have text, and the text needs to go like, hey, I don't care what your experience level is or whatever. You're going to go through the basic training stuff. We're going to run you through the loops just to make sure your equipment works and you're familiar with the equipment and everything else, and it's going to be very simple. What I'm actually thinking of for the level is we do want to keep it highly simplistic. And you know what? I was planning on doing this with Paint, because Paint we could do stuff like this and be like, hey, that's our corridor, and this would be like the training area and everything. But we have this amazing tool over here called Unity, which we can actually take the time to make levels in. So what I'm going to do is I want to go grab the Horde level. The reason I want to grab the Horde level is because it actually has a lot of functional parts in it. And I want to point out some of the work I was doing on this earlier this morning. I actually probably should be making more progress than I really am on these levels. But we're pretty much babysitting this, and I could have swore I double-clicked that to load. I think it is loading, it's just taking a sweet time. Somebody who pointed out in the comment section of YouTube saying that Unity is slow, you are right, but it's not slow for the intensive purposes that Unity sucks. It's just slow because loading level data is slow. Basically these files are like text files. Like if I actually went and hit Shield and Explore, I discovered this while I was up on Git the other day. Instead if I hit edit with Notepad, this is why the levels take so long to load. That is a text file that has basically a million lines in it. Yeah, so you're understandably why these levels are slow. In theory, by the way, when this game does actually compile down, this turns into binary data. It is a lot better. Plus, reality is some of this stuff is going to probably be junked out of here. But yeah, slow. Anyway, so we're going to grab the Horde level. What I want to show off in this is really quick is that we now have a score counter system. And with the changes in the AI and everything and how the spawn mechanics we worked on the last level, or last video, this actually works really, really nice. So we can actually track how many we have spawned, spawning, wave, score, and we can actually go out here and kill the stuff, and it will actually give us points. And the plan for this is not just in this level. Probably how the game is going to end up working is that your points are going to end up being kind of important how the game is going to roll. I'm still thinking this one through. Now, I was hoping I would have like at least 2 or 3 more enemies that would spawn over here. But with that new randomized spawn behavior, we're actually going to get these guys spawning everywhere. Luckily, they just charge right into the turret. Unluckily for us, the turrets aren't really functioning properly. I am going to probably work on the AIs and start programming target prioritization system mechanics and have it reevaluate its target and go like, hey, I have 9 targets near me, which one would be preferable? It won't take too long to do. I actually used to code stuff like that for the sentry guns in ICBM, and they used to have it. The new ones don't have it because obviously I don't really need it. But the old ones used to have a lot of prioritization scripts to make sure that they were actually optimized on target. And I could recycle a lot of that code in this game, but you can see the score does go up by 10 each kill. What we ended up doing with this is that this actually does track on the actual mob, on the Unity mob, we actually do track a point value. What this will do is this will actually register an event with the damage data. So when the entity actually dies, there is a series or a list of events it will fire off. It'll trigger those events, which then in the entity, it will find the point controller, which is actually up here. I actually moved the wave controller up here. So we get the point handler. This will actually then go, hey, add 10 points to the system. We actually going to go track points spent, and what the points end up being is you get a point, you come over here, you repair your sentry gun, or you upgrade your weapon, or something. That's what the horde level is going to do. And in the actual game, what I'm thinking of is this is how you're going to end up repairing and resupplying your vehicle. So there are going to be some items that your tank will end up having that will be consumable based. So things like smoke grenades. I don't know if we're actually going to get smoke grenades, but I really do hope to get some power-ups and stuff that will be consumable one-time use. And what will happen is you could go back to your resupply point and go, hey, I want to resupply this thing, and you consume some points and you resupply. If we don't end up going that way, then the other way we're going to do it is you can pick up this equipment, then you'll have a tonnage limit. This is the one I actually do like a lot more. Is if we could do this, is that you'll have a vehicle that follows you around, and it's going to end up doing your resupply and everything else. And I want to copy conceptually kind of how some of the MechWarrior games operated, where you had this vehicle that followed you around and it had its own tonnage limit, and you could carry spare mechs, parts, whatever, but you had a limit. You had basically an inventory. But I don't want to do an actual inventory. I want to do like a list, because we don't really have time to do like a grid-based inventory system and then give stuff certain slot sizes. That's just going to take way too long. So instead, just a list of basically what you would have on your vehicle, which I think would be kind of fun. We're still probably not going to do ammo though. Maybe in another game we'll do like an actual ammo conservation system, where if you waste a whole bunch of ammo at the level, then you have problems. But this style of game doesn't really play towards that, so we're not going to do that. Anyways, to get to where we actually wanted to do, so what I want to do is I actually want to save this scene as, and we'll go levels, and we're actually just literally going to call this, yeah, we'll just call it tutorial. And what I'll end up doing with this is I'll end up actually adding some kind of menu in here that you go, the technician goes, hey, what do you want to train on? And it'll go, hey, basic movement, weapon systems, power-ups, enemy fighting mechanics, and then it'll just, the list will kind of grow as you play the campaign. So in the campaign they'll go like, hey, you met a new enemy type, do you want to go into the tutorial and actually test how the enemy behaves? And it'll give you a breakdown on how the enemy operates and how it works or something. I don't know if we'll get that far, but that's something that would be kind of cool to do. So we want to strip this level down, because we don't want... Yeah, we'll get rid of that. We need the team manager. I actually need to work on my data object. I was talking to Grogger about this, that I really badly need to do this, because he accidentally deleted the Pathfinder out of the world, and he didn't know how to get it back. I want to actually... Can I put the camera on here? Doesn't seem like it's acting up. So leave the camera there. Get rid of that, get rid of that. We probably could even throw our tank up here, but the ideal is we want to actually get rid of the tank altogether in the level, and want to replace it with a spawn point eventually. We don't need spawners. We don't need the map center. We don't need the buildings. I don't need anything here, so I can get rid of those. And then we just need to come in here and reset these guys. Actually, no, I don't want to remove component. I want to reset component. Reset. We actually don't have any ceiling tiles, so I don't know why I'm even bothering, but just in case. You see how weird the level starts to look once we reset stuff. Reset again. I really need to figure out a way where we can go about actually storing the level data, so that way when I want to come through here and clear a level, I don't have to go through here and do this. This is where I'm kind of still contemplating whether or not I want to use Unity's tile engine or not, or at least when it comes to the rendering. I might get rid of Unity's rendering tile system, because doing your own tile renderer is actually not as hard as it looks. It's only the tile map system I'm a little afraid to get rid of, because even though I want to be able to store my tile map in a different way, data-wise, we'll lose this tile palette system, and I do not have the time nor really the experience to be making my own tile palette system as much as I want to. Anyways, we have a blank level. We go to the scene view, we have nothing. Actually, you know what I need to do? Save as, go to level, blank. And then we're going to do file save as again. Go to our levels, click tutorial. I want to say that even though I'm probably going to end up having to redo all that stuff and resave over the blank level again, I at least have something that I could recycle when I want to go do this again in the future. Anyways, so we want to design our tutorial. This isn't really going to be what's going to be finalized as, but we can start brushing concepts out. which is really important because right now we don't have the concepts and we need concepts. So we're going to need a starting area. And this is the ceiling layer, so we can do. You know, I'm like really tempted just to trash the ceiling layer because at this point, I do not think we're ever actually going to use the ceiling layer, and it's becoming more of a problem than it's really worth. The deco layer, I don't think we're going to end up using either. I think I've actually decided we're just going to use smart tiles for all the decorations. Okay, so we have a starting area. We want the starting area to be nice and clean and kind of big-ish. And then more or less what we can really do is we could set up kind of a corridor and then have like a teleporter, because programming a teleporter is not as hard as it sounds. And we could be like, hey, you start off here, you pick whatever you want to do tutorial wise. So we'll have some like little thing you drive up to and you go, hey, select your level, and it'll just be something you drive, and once you're within range you can just press like E on the keyboard and it opens up the GUI, and then it'll turn the portal on, which will, let me just do something like a wall here. Have a portal. We'll have some kind of collider for it. Now we actually do need walls for this now I'm thinking about it. You know what I actually do with this? I'm just going to really quickly kind of just draw my walls, because then I'm going to basically fill the whole thing in with wall segments. I actually want to change the collider over to like an edge collider, kind of, because we don't need a collider per tile. We just wanted to generate a collider for us, which I think there's a more efficient way to do that. I really do have to do more reading. Actually, speaking of reading, huge amount of time went into just reading about how to do C# and lambdas and stuff. I knew C# had something like a lambda, but I actually didn't know how it works, and they actually call it a... Well, there's a few different systems that go into kind of connection with each other. I don't remember the name. It starts with a D. I want to say derivative, but no, it's delegate is what it is. So they have a delegate system, and you can make these delegates, and you can kind of toy around with them. It's how they handle their event system, apparently. Java has its own little event mechanic built into it that you can kind of use but nobody really uses. There we go. So you just fill that in with black area, and that will act as our pretty much, it's a wall. And when you're like actually zoomed in game-wise, this will look fine because you'll see this nice black side. And no matter how, although you'll probably be able to go far enough over where you'll be able to see other stuff in here, what we'll end up doing is maybe something like setting the back camera to black, and we'll make a pure black tile. Or actually, what I'll probably end up doing is when I actually make this level, is I'll just create invisible wall tiles, or invisible-ish wall tiles. Because you would still want a wall tile that you could visually see, but then we'll have like the rest of the level will just be black, and the wall tile would just kind of fade into it. A lot of work to do, but we'll have something like that, and this will create our system kind of going. And then what we'll do is I'll literally just come over here, because we have all this space to play with, and we'll just make more stuff. And we want to make sure we're on the floor level. We'll just make rooms. That is not the tile I want to use. And of course it's going to freeze on me. Weird thing is, on this monitor I can see patterns and kind of how this looks. I don't know if it's what it's looking like on the actual recording, but looks really weird. Oh, that's so laggy. Let's say we create something like this. Now this could be our first area, and we could start off with, because we want to start off with movement. So we do our movement, and what we'll do is we'll simply go, okay, we'll start off simple, like follow this. I don't know. I don't know if we want to be like that dumb about tutorials, because people really do dislike obnoxiously simple tutorials. But at some level you really do kind of want that obnoxiously simple level, because then that kind of really does help bring the... It really does help people test controls and stuff. So let's do something like this. We want this like kind of like that. And then what we're going to want to do, I don't really have a tile set to work with. We use the black tile as our wall again. And then we'll make the player kind of drive around some obstacles. Go from here, go to there, go here. Just throw some walls on there. It doesn't really have to be, doesn't have to make sense. We just really want the player to drive around. I'm actually going to probably come through this and actually make this a little bit nicer. The one I'm thinking of is we want to be kind of just dumb about this, and let's add a spinning object in this middle of this room. I don't want to add anything else though, really. You know what? We can add some swinging, like, blocks that go back and forth here. This will be our exit. And what we'll do is we'll stick a. Oh, dude! I just realized I made these wall tiles. Shoot. So these are our wall tiles. My mistake. So let's go ahead and hit Control Z and wait for the game to unfreeze. It's really just a matter of rendering. And this is kind of one of the reasons why I got a capture card now, is because if this would freeze while I was recording, the whole recording would be messed up at that point. Hit Control Z again, hit Control Z again. It's where it's actually important to know what layer you're on. Okay, try this again. Okay. Nope, I want that tile. Make sure I'm still on the floor layer. Nope, that's not the tile I wanted either. I wanted this tile. So, corridor, big spinning room of death. We'll call this a bouncing ball room. And then our exit. Then we want to put our portal here, which will take us back to the main area. So that's kind of what we'll do. When you go here, you'll come down here, you'll come back here, select your mission. Relatively simple way to handle this, actually. I actually was overthinking this because I was actually thinking, like, how are we going to handle this? How are we going to handle this? How are we going to make sure the player doesn't feel like they're being put through the paces? Although this definitely is going to feel like being put through the paces because, well, it's a movement level. We're going to need a level to teach you how to use the mouse. I hit Control Z. There it goes. I guess I have to click it a couple times. So we want like a level to how to teach you how to use the mouse, and this one's going to be a pretty straightforward level. Literally what we're going to do is just spawn the player in the middle of the room, and we're going to have targets pop up. So what we'll have is we'll have like a target here, and basically what we're going to be asking the player to do, hey, aim up, aim down, aim left, so we can test to make sure that they can do that. And we'll just make sure we're like, this will give the player an opportunity to calibrate sensitivity on their mouse, and so we'll have options that they can do that. And then what we'll probably do is we'll have moving target. Well, no, actually we don't want to, because we want to test back and forth here, and then we'll have another set of moving targets here, and we want to test up and down here. This, after all, this is entirely geared towards testing mouse sensitivity, is what this actually would be used for. Even though a player will see this and go, oh, it's a boring tutorial where I gotta go through the movement before I can play the game. In reality, what this is actually going to be presented as is a way for you to test your control schemes, make sure your controller works, make sure your mouse works, make sure whatever gamepad you're using works, and it feels good for you and everything's set up properly. What we'll probably have as well is when we actually do add lighting to this game, we'll actually probably have some kind of lighting check system. So we'll have the player probably go through a dark alley here, and you know what I need to do? Game object, UI, text. I don't want you actually there, but I think I have to have you on a UI component. You in the world. Where are you? Hopefully you're not like set up as font size, tag, layer. I remember there was a way I had to mess with this, because by default UI stuff is not on the screen. And can I find you? Where is this object at? Oh, you are invisible. I think I'm going to actually need a canvas for this. I think it's why it tried to drop it in here. Is that the UI? Yes, it's a canvas. So we're going to need create UI, create canvas, put here. And I want this to be a world space canvas. This is what I was talking about. I needed to actually do some adjustments to this or it wouldn't work. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm actually looking for. I then want to, where's my canvas actually at? Okay, my canvas counts as this entire area, which is not what I want. 0, 0. Cool. That's actually what I wanted to do, is drag it down here. I'm then going to need to... I really don't want to shrink it, because that actually canvas size being the way it is actually just fine. Actually, is it going to cool anything that's outside the canvas layer? Because the reality is I don't really care too much how this works. I do want to make sure that the actual text is above. Oh, it is cool. So this is good. We want to do this here, and we're just gonna put stuff here. So this will be mouse test, and this is going to be in here just for kind of me right at the moment. This will probably not be in the final version, but we'll just toss some text in here just so we know what we're doing. And that text decided it didn't want to go where it wanted to go. Where's our color at? There we go. That way I can see these. And this one's going to be movement test. And the reason I want to kind of get some text above here is that I'm actually going to probably forget what these are here later. And even if I rewatch this video, I'm going to be like, what was I thinking? And I'll completely forget. And I'll have to go, and then Grog will be like, hey, why do we have this new level here? We'll start a new level here, and this is what I wanted to do particularly with this. Let's see if I do duplicate. Oh yeah, no, that's a little nicer. And this one's going to be the lighting test. And how lighting is pretty much going to work is you just can drive around the level, and it'll be like, hey, drive around the level, check to see if your lighting works, and then if we put night vision or something else in the game, it'll be a good exact way to do this. I wonder if we actually do want to leave the text in the levels, because this would, I mean, with the whole concept, I want to make this look like a virtual reality simulator. Having like a nice big text block that you can see would actually be perfectly fine. In reality, what I probably actually want to do is actually probably do want to put these on this over here. And have like a, maybe down, well no, we don't want to do down here because that's probably where I'm going to put the player's ammo at. I haven't exactly figured out how I'm going to do the UI fully yet, because I still need to get your weapons on the screen, and I still need to do some kind of objective system. I like where the HP bar is at the moment, but the reality is we can move this stuff, and I definitely need to get better icons, but we're getting distracted. So back to the level thing. So we got a movement level, we got a mouse test level. We're going to want to do other types of levels. I can't think of what we want to do, because I don't know enough about what the game's going to look like at the final product to know what we absolutely have to have for a test level. For the moment, let's actually just go ahead and program a few of these bits. So we want to make sure we can teleport, and what we're going to do is I'm going to first just have you teleport here, then you hit this one and you're going to go here, and we'll go, well, that'll be good enough for the moment. So to do teleportation, this is actually going to be quite remarkably easy. We're going to need to make an empty game object. Create empty. Obviously I didn't want that in the canvas. I don't know why I thought I needed it in the canvas. So this is going to be starting portal. That's what this will be. And we're just going to put it here. We don't really care exactly what it is, but we're going to need to add a collider to this. Box collider 2D. We're going to want to make this a trigger. And then we're going to want to change the size. We're going to say like 10 by 5. We actually don't really need it to be like this, but good enough. It's actually the correct size. We'll have some kind of like blue swirly thing in front of here. I don't know how we're going to get that to work. That's actually one of the things I was thinking of originally when I wanted to put portals in this game, is like, how do you get the portal to look good? This might be where I come through here later and I go, we don't want a Stargate style portal, we want something more like a wormhole, and have it actually spin in a vortex in the middle of the room. But we're not going to worry about it because we're just going to go, hey, run into that. And what we'll do with the tile palette, just to make this clear, is I'm just going, oh man, I hate how Unity does that. It's like I'm staring exactly at what I want to mess with and you flip my camera around. We'll just put like an arrow here. And this will be replaced with paint probably later, so like an actual like fluorescent style paint. I really would like to make it glow too, but more of a dream at the moment than actually something that might happen. And I think I figured out the other day how to actually do the whole selection thing. See if I can make it work this time. Nope. I just pasted that. I know what we can do is we can do this, and then we can like physically move this. But can we duplicate it? We cannot. So I gotta figure out how to do that, because I would love to be able to just copy and paste an arrow and then come down here and paste it again. But actually what somebody's gonna probably end up telling me is like, why don't you make that a game object that is an arrow that then you can place the level as, because, well, I want to use my tile map. So we have that. We got our collider. We're gonna basically need to add a script to this, and I want to actually make the script through the asset folder, or Unity's gonna just junk the script anywhere. And we're just gonna make a script. How this will work is we want to pretty much, I'm trying to think of like the best way to do this, because this is the same problem I ran into when we were coming out of the thing. Is like, do we want to give it a vector or do we want to give it a target object? I think what we want to do is give it a transform target. That way we can move the exit point, and then if we ever decide to move like entire chunks of the level, then we don't have to like go, wait, we were teleporting to this position, but this position is no longer that position. We have an object that we can see, which is what important is. So let's make sure. Oh yeah, we already have an area trigger for this, so I'm actually trigger action. We don't have to program a whole bunch of stuff. Let's actually close that. Down screen this so it doesn't have to load again. So we already have an area trigger. What do we have? So we have a roof toggle, which I don't think we're going to get to use a lot, and I actually made it, and I'm kind of sad that I made it. So we got a trigger action. Trigger action spawners. It actually turns spawn points on and off, which it will use probably. Trigger roof. I could just duplicate this and this would probably work. I don't really like how my trigger system works anymore. I don't exactly have... I think I just might make a brand new script for this. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this and we're going to make a brand new script. And if my mouse will behave, so we want to Unity create a script that way it does all the initial stuff for us. Creates a metadata. So this will be teleport trigger. And we're going to leave it in the same folder and just call it a trigger, even though the reality is it's not using our trigger system, but who cares? we have a map trigger here, which, do we actually have? Let's get rid of that folder so I'm not opening it up again. What does map trigger do? So map trigger actually does a whole bunch of trigger action stuff. An area trigger just goes on collide trigger stuff. The only problem with this system, yeah, so what we're going to do, we're just going to ignore this. And really the only thing we care about is we want to copy this method. We don't care what's inside the method. We don't even need initialize start stuff. So what we're going to have is we're going to have an object in here, so we transform, teleport target, and then we want to do on collide. We just basically want to set the object's position. Which we're going to need the game object. So game object. I will do game object. I don't know if object's a reserved word. Other dot game object. So we get our game object. Then we're going to want to set its transform to the target transform. Let me check the Unity real quick to make sure there's not a special rule for this. I don't really want to restore page. I don't know what I had previously up. Unity set game object position. So I really want the position, and I kind of do want the rotation too, but I just want to see how this works in a really basic way. This is where I was kind of hoping yeah, I think it's working. Transposition plus velocity, that's cool. Position equals new vector 3. So we can set its position. Can we just set it to the other transform? So this let's do Unity set transform. I don't think you can actually just set it though. That's the reason I want to look at this. I think how this actually ends up working is that there might be a method we can call to copy it. So Unity, let's say copy transform. Copy transformation runtime, copy transformation, clone transformate object at runtime. Let's try copy transform. Wow, there's a really strange wiki. Copy independent values. Oh, whole bunch of code here. This is stuff I actually need to learn, is how to do this menu item stuff. I would love to be able to do that kind of stuff. And actually give a whole bunch of menu items and stuff. It would be kind of really cool. I don't know what that was actually linking me to. I don't want to see. There's object initiate. I think what we're going to just have to do is set the position and then set the rotation separately. So we'll go game object dot transform dot position equals transform dot position. I'm going to kick myself because I'll probably find out later that there actually is a mechanic for this. So let's get this running first. Make sure this compiles. No problem yet. Oh, there we go. As soon as I go to click the button to add the script, it actually goes, hey, we're compiling. Teleport trigger. It hasn't finished compiling yet. Did we save, right? Yes, we saved. You're going to compile Unity so I can... Oh wait, I need to make this public. So it actually did properly compile, just I need to do that. If it's not public and you don't put the little like serialization annotation above it, it isn't going to do anything. There we go. So we got our target, and then all we need to do is come over here. Okay, we can't just right click and make an object. I'm really sad about that actually. 2D object, we don't want a sprite, so we actually just want to make another MP. Cool, I actually put that in the middle of my screen too, makes me happy. And this is going to be starting portal exit. And what we'll do is we'll actually just drag this on here. Probably not the smartest idea, but at least keep them paired with each other so I know where they're at and I don't lose track of it. We don't really care about rotation too much. In reality, what we want to do is we do want to rotate it this way, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. So that gives us our target position. We just need to do this. Let's save scene real quick too. A little bit lag spike when I do that. I drink of water while it's doing it. Okay. So what we should be able to do is drive right into that, and that should change our position. I wonder if the camera is actually going to behave properly. Watch us drive into this, and the camera freak out. That's something I didn't think about. Oh, that shouldn't have happened. Why is it? That's weird. Two, we still have the spawn handler turned on, but that's fine. So we got spawn portal exit. Spawn portal exit is indeed down there. What did we mess up? Oh, one. That's there. How did that not? Oh, because we set it to our own transform. That's why I was like, why does it not crash? That's because because we actually do have a transform. That's lucky. Also bad. Okay, so we just wait for the compile again, and we should be able to drive into it. It should work this time. Okay. Maybe we should make a portal test. I don't know how much portals are going to be a thing in the game. Oh, jeez, that actually worked better than I thought it was going to work. That's a bit jarring. I wonder if I can force the camera to take its time to go over here and pan over, because I don't know how bad of an idea that would be. But yeah, so we got the level. We theoretically drive through here. I don't know what we would do. I kind of want to make some trigger boxes and go like, if you leave the trigger boxes, then the game yells at you. But that would be a bit annoying. Okay. Drive a little obstacle course here. Run into things. Because I don't really want to penalize the player for going through these. I really do want to make this like an entirely optional thing. Of where this is here for you as the player to use, not for me as the developer to keep you from doing stupid stuff. Okay, then theoretically we want our spinny thing of death over here, down here. Which I still have no clue if we're going to use in the thing, because we're not really making a platformer game, but at the same time, I kind of just want to do it for the lulz. So be starting portal. So be movement test portal. And I want to move it, so where's it at? It's right over here. What is this right here? Is that a scale? Rect transform. What are you? You have an anchor point. I'm pretty sure I made these portal objects. I'm kind of confused by these. Yeah, somehow these objects I think got a GUI component attached to them, which is weird. Set them back to normal components. That's strange. That must be where I was dropping the text on a level and then the whole level freaked out. I want to check some other components, make sure that didn't happen. Nope, we're good. Okay. So, I want to move you, because one, you're going to have to be down here anyways, no matter what. This is the part where kind of pairing them is not the smartest idea, because I'm going to have to move this separately, wherever it ended up at. Let's decouple this because I need to rotate it. And you know, I'm going to decouple the other part with it too. And what we'll do is we'll just make sure this is here. And I'll put this down here. This is going to be our... We're actually going to name... I'm going to change the name of this real quick. So this is going to be the mouse test enter point. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change this one to the movement test enter point. That way these are actually kind of a little bit different in concept. And then we're going to change this to... Yeah, so we move. Yeah, we'll just call it movement test portal. It's fine. You know what? I don't have to rotate this because this is not going to be something that's going to be saved out of level. So we just do this. No need to rotate something if you can just invert the values, because this doesn't need to be perfect. The player literally just needs to run into it. And then what that's going to do, yeah, we'll just link that to the mouse test enter point. And this is just going to go over here. And we aren't going to add a way to get back to the main area because there's no point at the moment. We'll get that set up. So that's set up, so we're good. We have teleporting. Let's actually just drive through the level real quick just to make sure it's all working. If the level's not going to stall on me. This is one of the many reasons I actually love Unity, is remarkably how easy it is to do this stuff. Like, if I wanted to do this something in any other game, I would actually probably have to write a whole bunch of code for it. And we're just going to drive down here and skip all the fun stuff. This level's a lot bigger than I was thinking. I don't really know if I care enough to change it. Because having a big level kind of actually works. And then we're there. Cool. What we're going to do is also cancel momentum. I'm going to leave notes for this. So we want to do set rotation, to do cancel movement, to do cancel controls, to do temp freeze entity to prevent movement. So the reason why we want to kind of freeze the entity is because if the player is still thumbing the W key and we froze the controls of movement or canceled any movement, that next frame we go to do the controls again, is just, the vehicle's just going to move again anyways. But if we freeze the entity for a second, then let the player do things, the player will probably either instinctively change their control pattern so that way they're going the right way, or they'll release off the controls, whatever. So leave notes for that. And the last thing I want to do is I want to add my little spinny pinball ball of death here, just because I can. And what we're going to do for this one is we're going to create a 2D. Man, you really don't get a lot of objects, do you? You can do hexagonal point top map, flat top tile. I should have made this a hexagonal engine just for the fun of it. So we're going to do a sprite. There we go. You know, it's actually just grab all the stuff and we're going to drop it in the world. Just so it's out of my way. Where you at? You're right there. We need a sprite render for you, and you know what? I'm going to do something real quick, so I want to do create empty. Up here, drag on you. The reason we want to do that is because then we can name this spin block, and then we have nothing on here but a transform and rotation, and then we have a sprite down here which we can do whatever we want with. So we're just going to pick a random texture that we have, and I am just going to use the desert building because it works, and we're just going to mess with the scale. So let's do that 5. Nope, it's no, that's fine, that's actually big enough. Center this somewhat in the room, and what we literally want to do with this is create something to update the rotation. We actually want to move the object, not the sprite. We need to add a collider to this. Box collider 2D. Click. And then we're just going to do this. Add the collider manually rather than type against the numbers, because even though we kind of know the size of this, this is still the easiest way to do a collider. And if you want it to do is you can come back in here and do like that, that, and that centers all your stuff. Save seam. Used by effect, used by composite. The effector systems I think is kind of cool because what you can do with this is that you can make a trigger area, and then say you want wind to blow the player around, you can actually have this effector, and then say I want to push the entity to the left. You could do that with purely just a collider box. I remember seeing a tutorial on that. So it gets our thing here. I'm gonna change the color because I want this to be like red. Yeah, that'll work. And then we want this to spin, and we're just literally going to add a map component. You know what? Actually, not a map component. I want to make it a part. And we're gonna make a new folder in here. Create. I need to organize, and we're just gonna call this simple. And we're gonna make a new script in here. Theoretically, what we actually want to do with this is we want to add a rotational force. Rotation start is what we're going to call this. We'll have to edit that, but we're going to need a rigid body on our spinner block. I'm trying to do this all from memory too, but I'm going to end up inevitably having to Google something here in a second. So we want rigid body 2D. Can we actually initialize a force on this? Freeze position, we can do info, we can do a material. Let's get a material on here just because I want to have something. Oh, come on. There we go. Get a metal, and it clicked off my thing. Body type dynamic, kinematic, static. I don't know what these do, and I probably should do some reading. Use automatic mass. So let's have a lot of mass. I'm going to set it to like 800. Collision detection is continuous, so it actually hits it and moves it. Sleep mode, never sleep. Interpolate, nope. Constraints. Freeze position, we don't move. Which means technically I think we're actually a kinematic. Let me Google this real quick. Uni rigid body kinematic. I actually want to know what kinematic is. It is kinematic. If kinematic is able, forces, collision, or joints will not affect the rigid body anymore. Rigid body will be under full control of animation or script control by changing transfer position. Kinetic bodies also affect the motion of other rigid bodies through collision or joint. It can connect rigid body to a normal rigid body with a joint, and the rigid body will constrain with the motion of the kinematic body. Kinematic bodies are also particularly useful for making characters that are normally driven by animation. You know what? This might fix my collision problem with the player, because I kind of still want to do normal movement with the player and not actually do all my stuff. Turn the rigid body. The cool thing, I'm just going to copy this because I need to grab this anyways. Save that. It'll save me like 5 seconds. We don't care about ragdolling, but I think I'm going to turn it on there and we're just going to toy with it real quick. Well, it's actually, so it removes. I think it's going to be useful because we don't really care about the mass of this object. And what this might let us do is it'd be like, hey, we want to collide, but we want to do like a rotate this. We need to fix an update for this. Yeah, this part, by the way, is actually not really true. Or that one that wasn't worth it. Fixed updates are technically supposed to happen at a fixed period of time, but you can actually get this called twice per frame. But it's going to work for us because, no, actually we're going to do it through update. And what we want to do is we want to just do transform dot rotation plus equals. How do we do? Okay, I just want to Google this because I just don't care to think about it for the moment. Unity rotate object over time. Transform your angle goes new. I don't want to have to create a new object every tick. Transform rotate. I like this one. That one is going to work really well. Because then what we can do is we can just define a variable called rotation speed. Public float rotation speed. I'm going to lowercase this because I actually dislike the naming convention used by C#. And hopefully this code works. It does look correct because what you're doing is you get rotation speed times your delta time, which is going to make sure this actually runs properly. And then vector.up should work. I actually think we're going to actually turn this to... This needs to be left is what this actually needs to be, or it's not going to work properly. I think it'll work. And we set our rotation speed to like 1 just so it'll initialize properly. We don't really care about a rigid body, but I'm going to still store it anyways because we have one, and this might be useful later. So we're just going to leave it in there. And then we just need to add our script. Rotation. Yeah, rotation start. I don't think I spelled rotation right, but oh well. Are you going to add my component Unity? There you go. Rigid body should get itself by automatically, and if we set up our center point correctly, this should spin. And then we'll just toy with it once I get started. Go out of that. So I'm actually hit that and go back to this view. Even though I left the game on maximize on start last time we were doing stuff, and I don't really should not be doing that because I need to be able to come over here and I need to be able to see what this is doing. I can see this flipping around. So we're not rotating the correct axis. So that's rotating X direction. We want to... Yeah, we want to rotate Z, so... Maybe up is actually what we do want. We can change this metagame, so I'm going to recompile. Maybe having a separate variable for our vector would be useful for this. Whoa. Things just got weird. I want to fix these two. Why are you... Okay, hold on. How do I stop you from moving? That works. I want to reset this to 0 because then what I can do is turn the script back on and we can see what we just did. So it looks like rotate up is going to basically flip us around. That's not what we want to do. I'm going to lock this so we don't actually tab off of it. So get rid of that, 0 that out again. Forward maybe? I think it's a thing. Watch it compile and then fail. I don't think it failed. Huh, that works. Rotation 5 seems to be a pretty good speed too. Let's see what we can do with a 10 maybe? Yeah, still seems slow. 20. There we go. That gives a player a little bit more sense of danger. What we'll do is round out the corner so you actually have to follow this around. I like it. It works. So I'm going to call that into this video, and I'll see you guys later with more content and updates.